Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And before all that, at one point I was like a Christian rapper, honestly, before I went.
This is so funny. I keep talking like
keep on
this,
talking about
dude. It keeps popping. I didn't know that about you.
It's crazy.
No,
yeah.
didn't we? Like we've had this conversation every single person that I've like invited in, like just off of has ended up being like a follower of Christ, and I'm like,
it's crazy because it went down. It flip flopped though, because it's like. I started off as a Christian rapper, and the next thing you know, I was doing like really dark music. So it kind of had a crazy flip, but that all kind of came around the time of the bipolar diagnosis and all that too.
yeah.
So we could definitely...
Wait, we're gonna tell.
Yeah, because I'm all telling all shit.
Quiet.
Hi, my name is Jeff from Mental Health Resource.
And my name is Keta with StraitJacket Podcast, and today we have Xpression with us today. The legend, the living legend, the MC, the owner of Cryptic Rain, which is also a label, right? Correct?
Yes, independent label that I started.
Independent
LLC.
label. And one of the most prolific lyricists I've ever met, to be honest. Your gift with words is actually insane. So a little bit of background. Me and Xpression met when Kaylee and I had a music challenge for our music video Lies. And the song is about murdering your boyfriend. And it did pretty well. We didn't kill anybody. No boyfriends were murdered in the process. It was like the expression of that happened so that the murders didn't happen. I'm kidding.
So dope, though. That song was
but
so dope.
It was a great song, and we did a challenge, a remix challenge, and this was the winner of the remix challenge, and then that kind of sparked a years long online friendship. So grateful to see you here in the flesh today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Really, it means a lot for sure.
I appreciate that. So, and we asked you on here because you do have experience with a bipolar diagnosis, and then you also had said you touched on a gambling addiction as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Young Xpression.
So Young Xpression, okay. 10 years old, that's kind of when I wrote my first rap. And, I was always influenced by the hip-hop culture growing up. My uncle, my family, they were all really into hip-hop. So that's kind of like the music that I kind of gravitated towards. It was hip-hop, Tupac. Tupac was probably one of the most ones I heard as a kid first. Wrote my first rap when I was 10. I would go around rapping the same rap to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Just rap, because I was 10 years old. So
Performer.
People would see me and they're like, hey, we heard you have a rap. So I just go around rapping the same rap to everybody. Probably when I was like maybe like 12 or 13, I started picking up the pace more. Kind of was like in my teenage years. Started dabbling more with lyrics as I started to listen to more stuff. Started listening to Living Legends, Grouch and Eli, all that type of music. And, I started to get, it was kind of like more like poetry type of rap, like a little bit of rap, but kind of poems at the same time. And then, it kind of went from there. And then when I was 15, that's kind of when it really started. I was in high school. We were ciphering during the lunch, freestyle ciphering, battles.
I've never been to a cipher, and I've always been so curious as to how that goes down.
It's fun. The lunchtime ciphers were dope because you would have the homie right there that had his. At that time, people were bringing their little radios with the CD players. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't even like Bluetooth. It was like people had their CD player. They pull out a little like radio out of their backpack and they'd put a beat on, and we would just freestyle, or somebody would just make the beat on the table.
Yep, with a pen and a fist.
Beatboxing, stuff like that. So it was dope. But at the same time too, when I was 15. That's kind of where I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder as well. My grandfather had just passed, and I had gotten this really dark place. I just didn't want to live. I had a suicide attempt, and
can you walk me through that?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, like my grandpa, he was like one of the closest people to me. So I mean, obviously, I had my mom, my dad, but my grandpa, he was always in the mix. He was widowed. My grandma had died when I was 2, his wife. So growing up, he kind of like used me to fill that void of his wife not being there. So he would spend extra amount of time with me. So like the activities that I would have did with my dad, I kind of was doing with my grandpa because my grandpa was like there. I mean, so was my dad, but my dad would let him. He knew that my grandpa needed company, and so we would go out and do everything. He'd pick me up from school. We'd go hang out. He was basically like losing a father when I lost my grandpa.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first real loss that I had felt, that I could, that I felt change and shift me. When that happened, I just didn't want to live, and I got really depressed, and I was acting out, and I had got 5150 by my parents. My mom had called because she was just like concerned for my health.
Didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and so sure enough, the cops showed up and they took me to Canyon Ridge. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but it's Canyon Ridge. I did a 5150 hold, and
just 72 hours.
Just 72 hours,
yeah.
And in that time, I met with a lot of social workers, a lot of counselors, a lot of different people, and I was kind of telling them the story that happened, and, they just kind of diagnosed me with then. But looking at my early childhood, when I start to think back, before that, because, when you get diagnosed with that, if you look further back, there's things that you start to find, you know what I mean? And
you see signs. You
see it.
It all adds up.
Because I had this conversation with my mom, because my mom's actually a psychotherapist.
Okay.
And so she's, and so we've had this conversation to where I'm like, Mom, did you see any signs like before that too? And then she's like, oh yeah, we were having problems with you way before your grandpa. You were oppositional defiant. You were off the wall. You didn't want to listen. Your tantrums were like over the top. And then I'm thinking back and I'm like, yeah, I could see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and they say like oppositional defiant, like it's the hardest diagnosis for a parent to deal with too. Your mom, a lot of kids end up in the system for that reason.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's why she's like, that's why you're the only child. She's like, she told me, she's like, one was enough. You know what I mean?
She had all she could handle right in front of her. Yeah.
Right. So, but it's crazy. I wanted to rewind because I missed a step. But when I was 10, so I wrote my first rap. And like I said, I'm 13. I kind of got more into lyrics. But before I got more into like the lyrical hip hop stuff, I want to say about 11, 12-ish is when I got into Christian music.
Yeah.
So at the time I was really into church. I was writing Christian music. Everything was really spiritual about God. And, I was on a good walk. And then that kind of went into the lyrical side. But even though I was lyrical, I was still trying to find the balance between spirituality and hip hop, kind of, finding that balance between both. Because, sometimes you have people that'll be like, if they're really religious, they'll tell you, hey, your music's secular. You know what I mean? But I still wanted to do to where I'm doing me, but it's still positive and spiritual, kind of like the DMX, Lord, give me a sign.
Exactly.
Just like that. Like, here's DMX. I'm saying he's a worldly rapper, but the message is still positive and deep, and sometimes it even impacts more people because people look up to DMX more in that light, so he could touch a bigger crowd, in my perspective.
Think about that. It's like, where are the people that you want to reach? Like, they're not saved yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or they haven't met God yet. So where do you have to meet them? In spaces where God's not typically there. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yeah, they forget that part.
That's a perfect point, because it's like, you hit it right on the nose. He's relating to more people who are stuck in that middle phase of trying to make that transition point. So I had kind of that style for a while, but then again, like when the bipolar stuff happened, and the whole my grandpa getting diagnosed, and then that's when they started me on medication for the first time in my life, and that kind of just started a whole ripple. I had to see therapists from that point, and it kind of just shifted everything. And then I kind of got resentment towards my family, towards God, spiritual. I had I looked at things in a whole different light. And that really shifted, the way I created music from that point.
Do you know why that was? Was it like you felt like something was wrong with you that couldn't be fixed? Because I can relate to that a bit.
I just would be at home and I'd be feeling certain emotions that I just felt like I would have a lot of different mood swings throughout the day.
Yeah.
I'd be like happy, and then something would, I don't know, would trigger me, and the next thing you know, I'm mad for an hour. Then I'm fine again, like nothing, like I wasn't just pissed off, screaming and yelling and throwing stuff. Like things would just switch. Too much rapid cycling happening in a day. And
rapid cycling is gnarly.
Yeah,
it's fucking gnarly.
So they had me on Trileptal, Depakote, lithium, and when I was on that medicine, I felt kind of like my affect was just flat. Like I just felt like I just wasn't happy, wasn't mad, wasn't sad, wasn't angry. It was just kind of like just
couldn't feel
flat. Yeah, just flat. Flat. And so sure enough, I just, after about 4 months, I just refused to just stop taking my medicine all around.
Yeah.
Family didn't like that, but I just, I just decided that I wasn't going to take it.
Yeah.
And then, you know. And then next thing you know, I mean, I went through cycles, you know what I mean? Because then when I was 21 years old, I got 5150 again. And, you know, it's just one of those things to where I should have never stopped the medicine maybe.
Yeah.
But then now as I stand here today, I kind of feel like, because they say sometimes, like, it's a thing, because, like, they say it hits you harder when you're older. They say it comes back when you're older as an adult. But how I feel about it today, I feel like stronger than ever. So it's kind of interesting, because I don't know if this is just a part of the bipolar, or if it is, I'm going to run with it. You know what I mean?
Well, so I can speak to both effects. Is my bipolar 2 turned into bipolar 1, which is way more gnarly, longer episodes, way more intense psychosis, all that, when I was like 27. So it did happen when I got older. But another thing is you've had this disorder for so long that you know how to deal with it better. So you would be stronger because of it. So like both things can be true at the same time. Right?
And then music honestly did play a crucial role into me letting out my emotions. And it's kind of like you were saying with the Lies Challenge, you know, the song you guys make about killing people, not actually killing people, but but I took a lot of that is a lot of the stuff that I was, you know, doing. So if I felt angry and pissed off, my lyrics were going to be really angry and pissed off and deep and dark and crazy. And, you know, so when the Lies Challenge came out, I said, oh, I got this in the bag. Because I was like already, I feel like this all the time. I can write this shit right now.
He shot the music video to it in a cemetery, and it was like sold for us. It was just hook, line, and sinker. Yeah.
It was crazy because like, so yeah, we shot the video in the cemetery. And there I'm in the cemetery with the Ouija board. Like, it just looks crazy, right? It just looks like this. Who the hell is this guy at a cemetery with a Ouija board? It's nuts. But
that's expression.
At the time, I was actually really living that. So I went from being all this godly stuff to now fucking with the witch. Are we allowed to cuss? That's why I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
I went from really religious to really dark, like I say, because then I was influenced by, you know, Ouija boards and this and that. So I was kind of like messing with that for a while, and that just makes my mental health even worse.
Absolutely.
Crazy worse. Because now you have the bipolar, and then you have this Ouija board, and then you're feeling what you're feeling, and then it's only getting your head, it's getting you gassed up and pumped up, and then you're just running with it. It's like being on a sick one, honestly. Yeah. It's like a drug of its own. And that's honestly what got me back into the mental hospital again when I was 21. Because I'm telling you, like, I had this possession that I wanted to be this rapper who was going to sell his soul, who was going to freaking sacrifice whoever and do whatever the hell I wanted to do just to get to the top. And I was like completely brainwashed and kind of like at the same time possessed and kind of like the bipolar, just all of it in one, all meshed in one. And I didn't really have my wake up calling until I had my daughter. And then I remember breaking down in tears and kind of like opening up my heart again, and not to be like all religious, but kind of just to flush out the demonic possession that was taking a hold of me, you know? And then, so that brought me to another stepping stone in life. And then, but then, you know, cause I was drinking, obviously at my ages, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing pills, and plus this Ouija board stuff. So I had gotten clean off of all the other stuff, but now I had this mental health thing with the music, with this whole thing I'm talking about, the spiritual warfare, really. And then it went away, and then up comes my gambling addiction. So that took me on another, and I'm actively still battling with that as we speak.
Tell me a little bit about that, because it's an interesting addiction.
It is. Man, where to begin? Yeah.
How did it start?
Yeah.
So this is where it's kind of, you know, like going back to where you kind of look, when you look back at childhood, it's like, where did it all, because growing up, my grandfather, who I was close with, hardcore gamblers. My dad, hardcore gambler. Still, when I was 5, 6 years old, they taught me how to play poker. So I was 6 years old. I'm playing with the family poker for money.
You were prepared.
Yeah. And not to blame them, but I'm just saying that
no, it's a family
already
disease.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
21. My 21st birthday, my dad takes me to the casino, and I grew up in, you know, I live in India, grew up in India, and we're surrounded by casinos out there. You know, there's not much to do. I say there's not much to do in the valley,
There's not.
But when some people come and visit, they're like, there's so much
They
to
do stuff.
Yeah, they're like, they find stuff, and I'm thinking, it's hot as fuck. Like, there's only casinos, but some people some people like to go and show up and be in the bathing suits. They like the desert look. I get it. I mean, if you but so casinos.
It's ordinary to you, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. 21, I'm in the casino. Never played a slot machine before, obviously, because I hadn't ready to just turn 21. My dad takes me, I play, and I'm trying it out. And I'm like, hey, I like this. He's showing me around. Cool. It's cool. It's cool. I didn't think much of it. It was just kind of just an occasional thing to do. Fast forward a little bit. Man, when did it hit, man? 24, 23, 20. I feel like it's been a nonstop. It's been a nonstop for like 10 years, honestly, really. But it goes in sections to where I'll stop for a few months and then I relapse again, stop a few months. Like right now I'm on a break.
Yeah.
I haven't gambled since March.
You're clean.
I'm clean right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Clean right now.
Was it mainly slots?
Slots, yes.
Slots,
which is interesting because even though I know how to play poker and even though I know how to play blackjack, I still get stuck on the slots. I don't know if it's a stimulation.
It's programmed, yes.
Button you're pressing.
Yeah, it's like video games or something. It's stimulating for my brain.
They have like scientists that have like designed these things to be the most addicting thing in the world with the lights, the sounds, the way that you win. Like you almost win, then you do win a little bit, but then it takes it back, then it gives it to you, and you're just fucking with your reward system so hard,
and the
dude.
Video when you win,
and the music, and the music that they play. What's crazy is if the music that they play, I swear it has some kind of effect when I'm gambling. If I start to hear depressing shit, I start to like lose and get more depressed and emotional. And
You've seen a connection?
I swear to God,
I
there's a
believe
connection
you.
there.
No,
For sure. Because then they'll be playing like Return of the Mac and I'm fucking hitting bonuses and shit. You know what I mean?
Turn up the Mac.
Yeah. And then they put on like, I should have bought you flowers or something with a slow tone that's kind of like more like,
Do you stop gambling when a Splad song comes on?
No, I go.
You're an addict.
I start to freaking go crazier because then I get angry.
Yeah.
So first it starts off as fun and entertainment. I tell myself, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm only gonna play $100, $200.
Yeah.
That shit goes because you could bet minimum. You could bet 40 cents a hit, 50 cents a hit, and maximize the spins. But the problem is that once you get to a point to where you're no longer satisfied with these low amounts.
Yeah.
You're chasing this high that's like $5 a spin, $10 a spin, $20 a spin. Before you know it, you gotta load 1,000 in there just to get 100 spins, or you know what I mean? And
max bet.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you do hit the jackpot, that's where you get programmed to think that you can do it every time.
I can do this again.
What's the biggest jackpot you've ever won?
7,500, and which pisses me off though, because I hit that on $30 a spin. So in the gambling world, people would be like, "Dang, you $30 a spin for 7,000 isn't good."
Yeah.
Some people would argue that that's not good. You know what I mean? Because what I risked, going in there with $10,000, like I'm willing to lose this just to win a jackpot. That's I mean, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
It's addiction.
Yes.
Which is inherently insane. Yeah.
Gambling has been something that I'm actively trying to overcome for the betterment of my life, because all the blessings that I've gotten from music, like, money or endorsements or things that I've made, royalties or whatever the case that I've made along the road, it's all went into gambling. Like USC I didn't release this because I kind of, I don't know, I felt kind of like ashamed a little bit, but they had did a freaking documentary on me from USC on gambling, and I had lost like $400,000 in a couple years. Like I have lost a whole house. Yeah. Like it's a lot. Like to have everything that you have, and then it goes, and now you have to build from the bottom all the way up again, grinding twice as hard to pay your bills, and then living paycheck to paycheck, and then still trying to stack up while you're trying to invest in your career. Like that shit wiped me all the way back. It was a whole reset for everything that I had just worked for. And, and then here's the worst part about it is, so as it's messing with my mental health, I'm losing. After I lose all the money that I'm winning, because you hit a jackpot and you're still not satisfied, you're fucking putting it back. Now I owe the IRS.
Like this machine's got more in it.
Yeah. So now I know that I owe that. So all the money that I've lost, because that $400,000, I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
I owe the IRS from all the jackpots I hit because I didn't take the fucking taxes out. So now I owe them $50,000. on top of the 40,000 I lost, 400,000 I lost. So I mean, today not today. This last week I did my taxes, which was late because tax time was April 15th, and I was like, man, I was already delaying myself from it because I had a freaking booklet of winnings because they give you the W-2s every time you win. So, you're supposed to keep track of them throughout the year, put them somewhere safe. I lose all my things. I hide them from my wife. I don't, you know what I mean? It's crazy because I come home and I'm like, how do I go and break the news that I just lost all this or spent all this? And because we file jointly, so it fucks her up too. You know what I mean?
Can you file separately for the?
I probably could. My tax guy has tried to give me so many different ways, but he's just like, bro,
he's tired of your shit.
He's like, just stop fucking gambling, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta quit.
Or cut back and take the taxes out. But so I had a whole booklet. So I had to go back to the casino and tell them, hey, I need a reprint for everything I did all last year. So I kind of, that kind of delayed me in doing my taxes. So I just did my taxes. Again, every time I go, I get hit with worse news because I still owe from 2020, which was a crazy year. And every year it's just been adding another 15,000 that I owe. 15,000, 15,000, 15,000, 15,000, 20,000.
What did it feel like to get that booklet and look at everything that you had spent over that last year?
Honestly, guilt and shame because I didn't do anything that was worthwhile with the money. And it's like not even about the money anymore. It's kind of like I'm sitting there gambling and I want to win, but what do I want to win to do? Like, what do I want to do with the money? If I didn't spend the money, if I had, going to the casino with 10,000, it's like, I want to win to buy what? Because if I just
you're risk losing.
Right. Because if I just didn't gamble, I could go buy myself something.
Right.
But it starts to fuck with me because then I'm like, I want to start being cheap everywhere else I go. I want to stop buying shoes. I want to stop buying. I want to eat less, cheaper. I want to go to fucking Del Taco for the $7 box. Like, I want to start spending and being cheap because I want more money for the addiction. Yeah. I want more money to go play. So I'll live a poor ass life to go ball out of the casino. It's so fucked up. It's crazy. It's a matrix.
Well, that's the definition of addiction. Like, it absolutely makes no sense. It's ruining your life and you can't stop.
Right. And it's like, that's why it's a crazy addiction, because some people will be like, well, how do you get addicted to losing money? Like, how do you get addicted to just like, it starts off as fun. You get suckered in, you start to win a little bit. And with the bipolar disorder, a lot of my family members, they're addicted to the casino and they have a lot of mental health issues too. And it's like, I think there's a connection there between mental health and the gambling and it being an addiction and all kind of like feeling like a release, because when you're there, you're feeling great.
Yeah.
You feel great in the moment, but then when you're on the way home and you're realizing you lost everything, you zeroed out everything, and like you put your car payment on the line, you put your house payment on the line, then you got to go home and figure out what the hell you're going to do to try to miraculously come up with it. And I'm in the car and I'm screaming and I'm crying and I'm on the freeway going fast, like not caring if I crash or make it home, and I'm just a wreck. And I'm just sick of living like that. Like, so, I just realized that I got to take it one day at a time. That's all I can really do. I've gotten involved in therapy. I've gotten therapy. I call the 1-800-GAMBLING line. They gave me a therapist who specializes in gambling. Yeah. Because obviously there's different therapists, but the one that they give you is like for gambling. Yep. Like, so they understand the highs and the and then, so her advice to me was kind of like tapering down. Which
I don't know if that's a good idea.
That's what I was telling her.
Bad advice.
That's what I was telling her, because I'm like, you're not understanding. Like,
you don't get
I'm
it.
like,
she works for the casino.
Go
right?
There.
She works for the casino.
I'm like, I can't fucking go in there and put 100. Like, you're not understanding.
What do you mean? I can't stop. That's the problem.
That's gonna spark me up. Like, I'm gonna fire up. Yeah. So it's either all or nothing. Like, really. So, a month ago, I did it again. I finally. Actually, let's rewind. It was Christmas time. I was up nice. I had like 20,000 winnings. I told myself, this is a great time to get away. It's Christmas time. It's the holidays. Maybe I should take the money and go have a good-ass Christmas and get away.
Yeah.
Fuck no. I lost everything on Christmas Day.
Oh, my God.
So here, I'm at my family's house, and they all want to get together, and I'm in just like, I am in the worst mood ever. I'm around family. I don't want to see people because I just lost 20 grand.
Yeah.
And I owe the IRS because as I'm winning, you're hitting a jackpot, but then you're putting some back, and those W-2s just keep coming and coming.
Yeah, because it's for
coming.
every win, even if you gave it fucking
right,
back.
Right. Anything over $1,200 is deemed a jackpot. So even if I'm hitting $1,280, taxes, and I'm hitting, I think the most W-2s I've gotten in one day was like 28 or 29 W-2s in one day. So that was Christmas time. So I'm like, dude, I'm just like, I'm a wreck. So then, February comes in. I had been grinding all month. I've been doing my photography. I do photography now, and I've been doing a lot of brand photography and networking in the boxing community and a lot of things. And so I had got my bread up. I had bounced back. Went again.
Oh, man.
Took everything, went home, slept it off, woke up the next day determined to go win everything back. So I go pull every last dollar I have, go to the bank. I'm pulling out. They're like taking a lot amount of money. The bank has told me like, hey, what's
going on?
They ask, because you're pulling a lot of money out. So I'm like, I have an addiction, or I have a gambling. I like to gamble. Oh, well, if you need help, and I'm like, no, I'm good. So I go, I lose everything. I break down because I'm like, dude, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna pay for. I have like a list of all these bills that are coming out, and freaking I'm about to be overdrawn. So on top of losing everything, I'm about to be overdrawn. So I had to hit up my dad. I hit up my dad and I'm like, Dad, I need a loan. I need a loan. And I hate asking for loans. I don't like asking people for shit.
Nothing. Yeah.
Because then you owe people stuff and then you feel bad, and it's just, I don't like to ask people for shit. If I do, it's really my mom or my dad that I ask. I asked my dad, and I broke down and I asked him, I'm like, Dad, I'll quit. I'll stop. But he had already been hearing me say this a lot, But short end of the story is he gave me the money. This was on March 21st. So that was the day he gave me the money I needed to borrow. Paid shit off. Working on paying him back still. Getting my life together. Just got a new house, thankfully, and finally got a new house. And so things are getting they're turning again towards a good direction. But I'm living in that fear of if it can happen again.
Yeah, because you have proof that it could.
Right. Right.
When you're doing really well, is that your trigger? Is it when you're like at a high point when you're like, I could do it?
I think so, because I start to believe that I'm stronger. I start to believe that, okay, now because the longest I've been away from gambling in the last 12 years would have probably been like a 5-month period.
Okay.
And in those 5 months, I felt like I was sober so long from it that I started to get bored with life, and I felt that I can just go and just do what that lady was originally telling me to do. I could put 100 and walk away.
Yeah.
I'm strong now because I quit cold turkey, right? Fuck no, that just sparked me. Eventually, it just got me all over again.
Yeah.
And so I realized that in order for me to be done, it has to be like a forever thing. But when I think about the forever, it's like it seems like it's like a dreadful thing.
Well, one thing that I'll tell you, and I tell this to addicts all the time, and because it crosses genres, it doesn't matter if it's food, sex, gambling, drugs, whatever it is it's just for today. The only thing you ever have is today. You only have to worry about today. And when I've had cravings or I've had like I want to relapse or whatever the case is, I'll be like, you can do it tomorrow. Or if I can't get to the point where I get to tomorrow, I'm like, just do your laundry and then you can use. And then I'll do my laundry and then I'm like, just go to the grocery store and then you can have a drink. And then I'll go to the grocery store. If the craving's still there, then I'll be like, all right, just mop the floor. And then after that you can, and then eventually enough of those things, like you get a sigh and then maybe you got to fight just as hard the next day. But like walking through those cravings sometimes is like moment by moment. Right. But thinking about the forever will kill you every single time. Like, dude, you can't think about it forever.
I start to think, so if I get stronger in 2 years, 3 years,
you're never going to get stronger.
Like that's what I'm realizing. That's what that's what I'm really realizing is like, damn. So what I've been doing for this last 2 months is just keeping myself busy, trying not to have idle time, because if I get an idle time, I do think about it. but I've been just trying to stay busy. My daughter's in boxing, so I've been spending extra time with her, involved with her boxing and activities. I do pro bowling. I'm a professional bowler.
Oh, okay.
So I've been training her in bowling, and I coach the youth league. So I'm just trying to keep myself busy. You know what I mean? Music and just, everything, and just trying to not think about it. Because like she said, it's one day at a time. If I sit there and dwell about it, then I start to think, oh, well, I can just go and play. I can just. But now I got to tell myself I could just say no.
Yeah.
Or I could just not think about it. You know what I mean? Just try not to.
It does help to have support in these situations. So, I hope that it's something that I think we don't even realize how much we need it. Is a community that understands us. Like maybe that therapist wasn't like the best.
Right.
I'm going to hook you up with somebody too, because
sure.
I told you that I have a friend. So, but I think it's just like with any other addiction, the phenomenon is thinking that one day it's going to be different.
Right.
And then you risk everything. And the thing about drugs and alcohol is like, I can get high once and still have a house. Like, you can gamble once, lose your mortgage payment, and get foreclosed on.
That's why it's a crazy ass addiction, because, you can lose everything. And then it's selfish because I'm taking away from my family. I'm taking away things that I could be blowing the money on. I could be investing. It's so many other things that I could be doing than just donating. Because essentially you're just donating.
Yeah, you gave the casino a Christmas gift.
Oh, yeah. So much. And you know what they do? They they want to give me concert tickets.
Yeah, they know their audience.
Hotels, food. They know I love fucking food, so they give me food. You know what I mean? And I take it. I take it. Oh, the free plays are the worst. Because that's how they lure you.
That's how they get you.
And they give me so much free play. Like, they'll give me hundreds and hundreds of dollars
and they'll let you
week.
win on your free play
right.
too.
Then that's the brainwash behind it. Mm-hmm. There's been times where I've went on these sad days where I'm telling you, like, where I break down, I don't have shit the next day because I'm waiting for the float for the next check to come in. And I'll go on the free play. I'm talking about I have nothing in the bank. I've just spent everything. And I go on these free plays and I'll win a fucking jackpot. And then I'll have it. And there has been times, this is where the bipolar shit is weird. There's been times where I have taken the money and I was able at that moment to just rejoice and take it and go pay some shit or just splurge a little bit. And then I've had those moments where I have gotten away for that day.
So it just feeds the idea that you can walk away.
Right. Or depend on the casino to have my back. Where it's crazy. Because my addiction just saved me. I had nothing. There was another time, it was my wife's birthday, I think maybe like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I didn't have shit because of the gambling. And I went over there and I literally took the last $180 I had, which I knew I would. I mean, if somebody had their last $180, they'd be trying to ration the hell out of that, trying to figure out what they're going to do, for the next 2 weeks until they get, I just put it all on the line. I fucking went in there. Which $3 hits to me wasn't even a lot.
Right, it's a baby play.
But just the fact that I'm willing to lose the $180 when I needed it, I hit $7,000. I call her because I'm like, I just fucking won. She already knew the situation because she's living with me and she sees what I go. I come home. They can just, the energy, the face, they just know. I walk through the door and they're like, fuck, dude. They just give me a hug because they feel bad. They see it in me.
Yeah.
I call her because I have $7,000. She's like, please leave. I'm in the car. I'm flying. Take the money. I deposit it in the bank. I give her a birthday gift. I think I give her like $3,500. Okay, I just sell it to her. I wait a few hours and I go back and take the same day. I take everything that I have and I'm gonna go try to win what I just gave you back. And it was like that goes back to that greed thing, because like every time I spent on something, I felt like I needed to recuperate it to have more to play, or more to gamble, or more to try to win, or just unsatisfied, just that unsatisfied greediness.
Well,
addiction.
What do you think like the root cause of it is? Or I guess like the feelings that you go through beforehand?
Man, you know what? I want to say this. I mean, there's been a lot of times where I go because I'm upset or I'm angry, but a lot of the times I just feel like it's an escape or a high, or just because I don't drink, because I get high blood pressure and I have diabetes. So I can't drink mixed drinks and sugar and shit like that. I get if I drink, my face gets all red and I get hot, and then it's a hospital thing.
Yeah.
So I don't drink. Smoking, I used to smoke a lot of weed, and then one day I just had a breakthrough of anxiety.
I changed the weed.
Yeah, something happened because
Yeah.
my heart started racing. I started shaking, pouring hands from my sweat. Went home and slept it off. I tried it a couple of days later. It never went away, so I gave up weed because I don't know. One day I just couldn't handle it anymore. So
I'm sure that like being able to quit these other things so automatically when you needed to also like feeds that like, what the fuck, why can't I quit this one thing? Like I quit weed, I quit alcohol, I quit, I can quit. Like why can't I with this one thing?
that's been my question. That's the one thing that doesn't make any sense to me. And that's when people look at me, they're like, oh, well, we know you've quit weed, you've quit alcohol. This feels like the hardest fucking thing I've ever had to quit, other than fast food, because I love fast food. Those are the two like biggest things that I feel like if I can get my health under control, physically and mentally, then I'm gonna be unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I just, because the way I think and the way I process things and the way that's why I know I still deal with the bipolar in a lot of ways. When it comes to creativity, when it comes to being manic at night, I'm up all fucking night thinking of plans and ways to get, still chasing the bag, or thinking of whatever I'm going to come up, whatever kind of strategic plan I could create at 3 a.m. when everybody's asleep. I'm right there like a maniac thinking of putting freaking things together. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's a curse or if it's a blessing, and that's the problem. Because
It's both.
Because, like, when I'm going back to when I was taking that medicine and I felt flat, I couldn't create, really. I couldn't create.
I think it's a blessing. I kind of deal with the same thing. I'm one of those people, I'm like up late, just thinking.
I hear you, though. No, and you know what? I like I say, and that's what I told my therapist, because my therapist that I did see for the gambling, the one that gave me the terrible advice, she wanted to put me back on meds, and I told her no, and that's kind of where she just stopped seeing me, because I refused to get on the
Refuse treatment.
I refuse treatment.
Her treatment. And like, I will say this to anybody, like, you're in control of your treatment. You get the last say in your treatment, and what works for one person might not work for another person. Right. But I know that all of my relapses have come during manic episodes. So I've had to navigate, but my bipolar is typically like manageable until like a super traumatic event happens, and then it'll like trigger something. But like people with bipolar can walk through, can be in remission for long periods of time, but having those rapid highs and lows, like it only contributes more to an addiction because it simulates the feeling in a way. Do you relate to that at all?
100%.
Yeah.
And and that's what you said about the long periods. That's kind of, it makes me think like me wanting to quit, right? Me being sober right now. Is that just a bipolar phase that I'm in until I get into a relapse, and then that's another bipolar again, where I just come to a level with myself to go back, and I just like it almost feels like I'm in a bipolar thing right now, but right now it's me wanting good for myself until I just don't give a fuck, or until whatever happens it triggers it. But I mean, I would love to stay in this for as long as I can. If I could just stay in this smooth and whatever.
Yeah, cool. I would say as somebody that suffers with addiction and bipolar disorder that, they're separate things. Addiction is separate from the bipolar. So they can complement each other. They can fuel each other, definitely, but they're separate. So, you can be in a manic episode or a depressive episode and not gamble. You can also gamble when you're not in either of those things. So it's like they're definitely like separate little things that you have to treat separately.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
For sure. No, that's definitely, that's solid. That's solid for sure. And so, all I can do is just keep taking it one day at a time, and, focus on the things that, I do want to accomplish, that I feel like, will bring me success. I've been focusing on my photography a lot. collaborating with a lot of brands, doing a lot of Instagram reels and marketing. Been kind of busy with that, and like I said, with my daughter, and she's excelling in the boxing, and then I've kind of been linking up with these big time boxing brands and working with them, like Everlast. They're very popular. I've been doing stuff with them. Stuff with them, the Cleto Reyes brand. I just got my daughter sponsored. She's 9 years old. I got her sponsored already.
That's dope.
So it's dope. I'm able to keep myself focused on that right now. And that's what I want to, work on. And then obviously still the music. Music's always going to be there.
Yeah, it's in you.
Even if I don't go out and perform and I'm not out chasing it on tour or whatever, I always got to keep my pen sharp because I'm a hip hop head.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you have to be equipped.
Right. She knows. Keta knows. Keta's a lyricist. She knows. It's just one of those things where I'm like, people always hit me up. They're like, hey, you still make music? Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you want to first? I'll light it up real quick. Just one of those things. And just want to keep the pen sharp, keep my,
Well, you are one of those people that, like, when you put your mind to something, you fucking do it, And I think that's the thing with being such a force in your own life, because your life has been touched and blessed. Like, I've watched you over the years and, like, the successes that you've had and, like, the rooms that you've walked yourself into. It's not ordinary. Like, you're not ordinary by any means. And then addiction paralleling that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
it's like the blessing and then the curse is like you get blessed with something, but then, I'm being my biggest,
It's your Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
you think being having an addiction or bipolar has contributed, like, to being the artist that you are?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like I wouldn't be Xpression if I didn't have bipolar. That's why it goes back to the whole blessing thing, because it's like, damn, if I didn't have bipolar, I wouldn't have so much emotions and alter egos. And I created an alter ego within my music. I mean, people do it all the time, but I had created the Zozo. The first album I ever dropped was the Mr. Zozo album. And it kind of goes back to that whole thing I was saying earlier, where I have this, possession of this rapper who wanted to sell his soul for riches and fame and and in the album I tell that story. It starts off with this demon voice coming in. He's like, Xpression, I'll give you riches and fame. I take off with them. I get a phone call. It's the devil calling. I answer it. He's got an offer for me on the table. Cool. By the third song, it's called the Crystal Ball. I'm in the crystal ball, and the crystal ball is giving me power. And then I'm feeding off the crystal ball, and I'm getting all this energy, and I'm on this path to success. Then it's like a whole story in this album. But it was created by this alter ego that I had. I don't know if it was an alter ego, if it was another side of me, if it was a pizzazz. It's a little bit of all of it, honestly.
Mania sounds like.
Yeah, because when I went to the mental hospital, that was the one thing that they were questioning me about, was the whole Zozo thing. They're like, who's Zozo? Who is he? Well, they wanted to know, like, how I felt about it. But me being smart and me being like, I wasn't going to tell them too much, because they'll keep your ass there.
Yeah, I want to lock you up.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, he's just an alter ego in music. I knew exactly what the fuck, because, that was the intelligence side of me coming out, like, okay, know when to say what, and So I got myself the hell out of there, because I wasn't about to say, well, I'm possessed by a demon, and he takes. I wasn't going to say any of that shit, because then they take it literal in there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is if you feel like, if you feel a certain way, and you say it to them in the way that doesn't sound right, they'll fucking keep you in there, dude. And if you tell them you're going crazy, they take it as you're going crazy. So, you probably shouldn't be going anywhere if you're going fucking crazy. What I mean is, I'm fucking in this room. There's no windows. I want to go home. I want to eat a cheeseburger. I'm going fucking, like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, you're fucking, So I really had, when I go in there, I really had to, like, tell myself, okay, I need to play this a certain way, otherwise they'll 5250 your ass, and they'll keep you longer. They can keep you up to like 180 days if they want to,
under their discretion, which they don't want to keep you, but they definitely will. What do you have to say to the young artist that's trying to come up, that struggles with bipolar disorder? Younger you, maybe.
Younger me. Damn, such a good question. Younger me. Phew, man, what would I say to the younger me? You got me on that one. I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah, that's a deep one. I might have to.
Maybe yeah.
I might have to. That might be.
It might be a letter that you might need to write.
Damn, that's a deep.
Have you ever done that work?
Uh-uh.
Ooh, yeah. Write a letter to your 10-year-old self, and then have your 10-year-old self write you a letter
Because I feel
back.
like I could just say things, but like it's such a deep ass question. Like, what would I say to myself? Like,
yeah, do some work. There's some shadow work there. There's some
I
discovery.
feel like that
could
could be like a letter or a song or like
yeah.
something
Ooh,
crazy,
you could turn it
something
into a song
dope.
back and
That's
forth.
crazy.
That sound. I want to hear it. Now it's done. You have to do it now.
Okay, you know what? Okay. That question will be answered by the song that I build off of.
I love that.
Can I do that?
You can do that.
Because I feel like that's just so deep. That's just too deep. That was deep.
Well, I fully expect the answer.
It's like, man,
yeah.
On one hand, I would want to correct this and that, but on the other hand, I feel like life took me down the fucking path that I went through to get me to certain places.
Create
so
the
it's
you that
like
you are.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I would change anything. There's probably little things I would, but I don't know overall if I would just.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you'd have to, if you gave up one thing, you'd have to give up everything.
Right.
Kind of butterfly
And it's like,
situation.
if I say I stuck the medication, would I have been in music? Would I have been Xpression? Would I, if my younger self never got off the medicine, if my younger self didn't have the desire to want to be whoever the fuck he wanted to be and wanted to just go rogue and be whoever and just, become, had I been controlled more, would I have been Xpression? Would I have been able to work? Would I even know Keta? Like, because it all ties in, it all ties in. You know what I mean? And,
Well, that might be.
That's you got me with that.
Might be your next project.
Not a lot of people get me with questions like that.
That's a good question.
She got me. That's.
Is there anything that you want to plug? Do you have any upcoming albums? Anything that you want to have our listeners cue into?
Sure. So I just put out a boxing record. It's a collaboration I did with a lot of the boxers in the local Coachella Valley. So a lot of them are signed to Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy.
Okay.
They're all in the music video. I kind of took hip hop and blended it with the boxing, kind of like a rapper with the punchlines, but the punchlines.
I love that.
I kind of made it as a metaphor, but I actually include the boxers in it, and it's pretty dope. It's like a little mini documentary / music video all in one. That's something people could go check out right now. All or Nothing on all platforms.
And then your All or Nothing on all platforms?
All or Nothing by Xpression on all platforms. Yeah.
Okay.
And the music videos on YouTube. And then Raw, I just did a collaboration with Raw 247. It's interesting because I don't smoke weed or anything, but I do I do the content, I do visuals and content creations. I work for the company. I do ambassador work and stuff like that. And I just created a single for their brand, and it's actually trending on their page right now. So that's dope.
Sick.
And then
you said your book.
The book. The book came out. The book. Me and my mom want to do. So me and my mom collaborated on that because she's a psychotherapist, and she kind of came from her psychotherapy angle, and I came with my poetry angle, and we collaborated on that and put that together. We want to do a part 2 because what we were doing was we were doing workshops because I work in the mental health field, so I work with her, expressive arts facility, and I run the hip hop therapy group with the teens and stuff like that. So they come in, we have a songwriting class. A lot of them struggle with what we struggle through, and I teach them how to put it in lyrics and use music as a way to express themselves. And so I get the pleasure of doing that. And so the follow up would be making another book that we can use in our workshops for the hip hop therapy. And the album, I want to do the Right Path 2 is in the works. It's just the Right Path. Those are kind of like I try to give myself a timeline, but not too, because I want to have the big features. I have to go bigger than part 1 if I'm going to do part 2. Which part 1 had freaking Keta was on there, King Lowe's, Busy Bones, Sahai the Princess with good music. It
was a great album.
Bizarre. Like there's so many people on there like in the hip hop culture. So like I'm thinking like damn. When I do the Right Path 2, I want to recruit people who I didn't do on 1 and have big time people on there. Like I want to put Twist, I want to put Jadakiss. There's a lot of artists that I still want to work with lyricist wise, and I want to put that out.
So that's up and coming.
And
then can you shout out your Instagram for everybody?
Instagram's gonna be @Xpression the MC. No E on the Xpression. I get that a lot.
I was gonna say Xpression.
Xpression. All platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
everything.
Everything's
Xpression on everything.
Just look with the little cartoon with the blue. That's me. I keep it universal like that because, some people have different photos on different social medias, but I found that I just keep the same fucking profile image on every one of them, and they'll find me fast.
Okay.
So I appreciate Keta, and this is awesome.
Yeah, it was such an honor to have you here today.
I'm gonna work on that question.
Yeah, you got to. I'm gonna follow up with you.
Wow, that was I don't know.
And anybody listening can do the same thing because it's a good thing to ask yourself those questions and have those conversations with your younger self. So
a letter to my younger self. That's gonna be a dope ass record.
It is. I'm excited.
Wow, I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And that will be it for another episode of StraitJacket Podcast. And if you are struggling with addiction or mental health issues, anything, and you need support, you can go on to mentalhealthresource.com, fill out our form, and be connected with a ton of new resources. So, all right.
If you have a gambling addiction, 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.